What's up, YouTube? It's Hippopotamus again, and today this is a special video as it's a request. So shout out to Brian Grant who requested a solo Pakhan build for PvP, and hopefully I've managed to put something together here that's a little bit usable. Okay, so a quick disclaimer. First off, I would just say that I wouldn't recommend using the Pakhan in PvP. I just feel like the talent is more PvE focused. But given that it's a special request and somebody's asked for it, I've gone ahead and we've tried to make the best of what we've got. Okay, so let's start the usual way. If we go over to the specializations table, I'm using the gunner, and there is quite a few reasons why we're using this. So to start off with, we are using faster reloads. We have weapon handling and reload speed. So the coupler, every third reload is 50% faster because that Pakhan, you are reloading to get the bigger magazine size after you get a kill. So we might as well reload as quick as we can and keep that downtime as down as possible. The medkit's very nice because it's going to give us that 30% bonus armor, and we are actually more tanky than usual. We have gone for higher armor, so we've gone for passive damage grabs, so this 30% bonus armor is going to go a little bit further. Every kill grants 10% armor. I mean, if you're at a landmark, I guess that would be okay. I don't know in conflict. It could help a little bit in PvP, but I don't think it's that great. It's sort of more PvE focused, however, could help. The right of foam grenades ensnares enemies. Yeah, these are nasty. If you get it off and you get an enemy to stand still, that's going to really help get that extra kill. Right of foam is pretty hated in PvP, but it could be used to your benefit. So yeah, helpful. We don't use the Banshee Pulse, so there's no point in going over that. Regenerating the ammo. So what my thinking was is that, obviously you can get ammo quite easy within PvP, but when we start taking those larger magazines, if we do confirm a couple of kills, it's going to eat into our reserves a little bit. So why not have this recovering as we go along? We also have barrage, so if we get a kill, the fire rate is increased by 5%, so that's something that we're really going to want, which will help us. We also have weapon handling while not moving. You need to be motionless for 1 second. We do have weapon handling, and this is going to bring us up a bit more, so that's good. The pulse resistance does actually play into PvP. 50% is good, but it's not really going to be more than anybody else that doesn't already take that anyway. Main things is just the synergizing weapons here. We can't take advantage of the large pouch, unfortunately, but we have an assault rifle and an LMG. Brilliant. Okay, let's go down and take a look at the build and go through it. So, for my first weapon, I'm using a FAMAS. You can use whatever you like here. But given the new talent that we've got, the Streamlined, I'm taking advantage of this because we have sort of less assault rifle damage than LMG damage, and this kind of brings our numbers more in line so they're closer to each other. The second that we use a skill, this is no longer viable, and that would mean that we'd need to switch to a different weapon. However, the cooldowns on the skills are quite low, so we're going to get this back reasonably quickly, even though we don't have much skill power. Okay, so starting with the FAMAS, it's a FAMAS 2010, and it comes with assault rifle damage, health damage, and damage to targets out of cover, and it has the Streamline talent. Increase weapon damage by 42% while no skills are on cooldown. Excellent, that's great. Okay, so the star of the show is the Pakhan. I definitely drop some ranks of expertise into this where possible. So at a baseline, and that's why I've left it here, we're seeing 171 damage in PvE. So we'll check the number in PvP when we get to the stat sheet in just a second. This one comes rolled with LMG damage, damage to targets out of cover, and damage to armor, and has the talent Pakhan. So each kill with this weapon grants a stack of 75 base magazine size. Increases to the next magazine up to 4 stacks. So you can increase the magazine basically by getting kills. Now this is my main problem with the Pakhan. Really is just that it's an on-kill talent. I feel it's better really in PvE, but if you're insistent on using it and you want to use it, I mean the damage is very very high. It is hard hitting weapon. Lower RPMs, but that's absolutely fine. And the magazine isn't terrible at 60, really. You can be hitting quite hard. The way that we've got this set up, this should be hitting, for decent numbers. The main things really with the optics and the attachments, I'll just say that I've gone for crit chance. I'll just flick over there so you can see, look, crit chance. This one comes with weapon damage, which is really nice, extra rounds, reload speed and crit chance, which is really good. We're just looking for crit chance. We're a little low with crit chance, so we'll go for that momentarily. As always, the TDI card, just because of the utility, we have one skill tier whilst holding it. We have preservation, which can help us get some armor back if we need it, and we're at a landmark, we can just pull it out, or if an enemy's down. And again, we're just using crit chance pretty much across the board. I do have a crit damage muzzle there. You could change that to a crit chance muzzle. I think it's a suppressor if you're so pleased, depending on the stats. I've just not had time to really sort of fix this up perfectly. This is just a build that I've popped together to try and get it out as soon as possible. So onto the gear set. So I am using the Ninja bike. Now this is important to help me unlock multiple brand and gear set pieces. So that's why we're using it. Just to go through it, it comes with the standard 15% weapon damage, 170,000 armor, and one skill tier. I have some expertise into it, so that helps. And we have a critical hit damage mod placed into it. So, gone through the talent a few times, resourceful. Basically, what's going to happen is it's going to unlock an additional bonus from each gear set and brand set. So, if you're wearing one piece, you've got two. If you're wearing two piece, you've got three. And if you wear three piece, you've got four. I had to think about that for a second. So, and it can unlock bonuses from multiple sets. So you can have, brand sets, gear sets, all unlocked simultaneously. Okay. So that's a key piece that we're using here. So to start off with, I'll start with my gear set piece. So I'm using a piece of Heartbreaker. Remember, you can use this in any of the slots that you would be there. So I'll just go through. You could have it on the mask, the holster, or the knee, depending on which you have. You can interchange these sort of pieces around a little bit if you so wish, including the chest if you had a Lengmo piece here. So just quickly go through this dead quick anyway. So the two piece, what it's going to do is give us assault rifle damage, great, which we're using, and all importantly LMG damage. This is something that we're chasing, LMG damage, to get that damage as high as possible. This comes with 170,000 armor, crit hit damage, and a crit hit chance mod popped into that. We also have, let's have a look. Let's start down here, I guess, the Lengmo pieces. So I have gone for Lengmo because of that 30% LMG damage. So we've got two pieces of this. So wearing two pieces is going to give us the explosive resistance and the skill health, which kind of negligible. The explosive resistance is always handy. It's a resistance against grenades, explosives, other things like that. The skill health, if somebody shoots at your drone or your decoy, it's going to help a tiny little bit, but I think we're clutching at straws here at this point. The real bonus that we're looking for that's unlocked by the bag is the 30% LMG damage. That's crazy. That's a lot of extra damage. That's like 2 extra red cores. So we have this rolled with 170,000 armor, crit hit chance, crit hit damage, and the same for my knee pads. They're rolled with 170,000 armor, crit hit chance, crit hit damage. So for the glove, I have the contractor's glove. This is just sort of best in slot. And what's going to happen here was the two pieces that I've got LMG damage and weapon handling. So weapon handling is reload speed, accuracy, stability, and swap speed. All really good stuff that we're going to need, especially considering the talent on the main weapon. We might need to switch weapon once we deploy a skill, so that's going to help us change quicker and also give us stability and accuracy to our weapons. Great stuff. And reload speed, something that we're actually going to see in just a minute that we're going to get a little bit of too. So this comes rolled with 170,000 armor, damage to armor, best in slot piece, and crit hit damage. So for my chest piece, I am using a Fenris Group AB. This gives me 10% assault rifle damage, and there you go, the 30% reload speed. So reload speed is something that I consider to be important with this build, because the gun, as you get a kill, if you do get a kill, you're going to want to get that magazine in as soon as possible and feel the benefit of that bonus, as we're not going to see extended mileage with it. So if we do get a kill, we can reload quickly and then all of a sudden have a much bigger magazine to deal with the next target if we do. One thing you could also do as well is that you could run off to a landmark and just kill a few targets there, and then come back and find a fight and actually surprise an enemy with an extended magazine. Bit of a niche way to play, but I think is quite interesting and sort of useful. So this comes rolled with weapon damage, and I would like to say here you could take an armor tier if you wanted to. You could get yourself to 2 million, make yourself quite tanky. However, I feel like the extra damage here is kind of useful, and I think will help us a little bit. So we have crit hit damage and crit hit chance popped in with a crit hit chance mod. So we also have Unbreakable. This is going to give us roughly 50% of our armor back when it breaks in PvP. I'll be able to show that on the stat sheet once I get there. But this is going to give us a little bit of survivability. Half of 1.8 million is definitely not something to sniff at, and it's going to give us that survivability, as you said. Brian said he wanted a solo PvP build, so I think we're going to need to take that little bit of survivability rather than damage. We could have taken something like Obliterate, but at this point, if we are on our own, we're going to need that little bit of extra survivability because we have no teammates to fall back on. Okay, for the skills, I am using a distractor hologram, so basically the holographic distraction. We can just chuck this down, it will remove our nameplate if we go rogue. It'll also help if we're not rogue, because people can't generally see where we are if we pulse or anything like that. It's going to help us close the gap if we need to do that. Also, it's going to help us to get away if we're in a bit of a pinch. So all round quite useful skill. You can change this to whatever you want. You can have a pulse or anything. If you feel that you want to know where enemies are, you could have a pulse. But again, with our skill tiers, if we hold our pistol, we've got 2, and that's going to extend the duration, health, and threat of that skill. Which is going to give us more time to get away, get closer, or whatever it is that we're planning on doing. So for my second skill, it's the Defender Drone. Most people just run this in PvP because the shield is no longer viable. We can't use a shield with an LMG anyway. And it's the damage reduction, you know. There's nothing better than damage reduction really in PvP. It's just going to help us survive that little bit longer. If we hold the pistol and we're running away, got our decoy down, we can get some more value out of this too. As you can see here, a tier 2. So I think that's pretty much most of it, apart from just the grenades. We can, if you manage to get that off, stick a target down, which is quite nasty. Okay, so let's go to the range, check it out, check out the stat sheet, and see how we're getting on. Okay, so we just pop the range onto heroic, and we'll just turn the skill. Oh, not hurt ourselves. We'll just turn the skill haste off for the sec. Run in. I just want to make sure that we don't have modifiers. We don't, which is good. Okay, so let's have a look at our stat sheet quickly. So this is where things are going to get interesting, okay? Weapon damages will be quite high, even though we've taken quite a bit of armor. So we have the weapon talent Streamline, Pakhan, Preservation, and obviously good offense from the Specialization. So we have quite high weapon damage. Again, crit is reasonable. Crit damage, I'd like to be a little bit higher, but again, we can't really achieve that with using certain pieces that we've used. But it's still good enough to do quite reasonable damage. Again, I'll just quickly change over weapons. Again, we can see that we've got higher armor damage on the Pakhan. Pretty reasonable crit chance and damage across the board there. And I think I did say you could change the crit chance mod to another 5, so you could get 60 here on the pistol. Not that we're really going to be using the pistol apart from an emergency, so we can skip over that, I guess. So this is the most interesting part of it. It's your weapon damage bonuses that you'll have. You'll see are really quite high, especially with the LMG. When we flick to the LMG, 55% or weapon damage bonus, and we also have 85% LMG damage bonus, which is excellent considering the amount of armor that we've got. We have the talent Resourceful and Unbreakable. Again, that's more for survivability. You can change this to something like Obliterate, as I said. We're using 2 pieces of Heartbreaker because of the backpack, which is a trend that we're going to see here. 2 pieces of Fenris AB group, which is giving us the assault rifle and reload. We also have the Contractors, again remembering that we have weapon handling and the LMG damage. And then the Lengmo, the 3-piece, 2 pieces we're wearing but 3. And this gives us the 30% LMG damage. The other 2 are quite negligible. It will help, but sort of not anything to point out and make a big point about. Okay, so we have 1.77 million armor, nearly 1.8. This will increase with expertise. I don't doubt that you can get it nearer to 1.85 if you put a lot of ranks into it. Have a little bit of armor on kill because again we are doing something that's on kill again with the gunner, so this could help a little bit in landmarks if you're going around doing landmarks and getting your stacks quickly. And again, something that would also like to go through is that you need to just be aware that these stats reflect me having a wristwatch level 1000, so your mileage may vary if you are under level 1000. Okay, so again, we were talking about streamline. It's only really realistically going to be down for anywhere from 22 seconds to 18 seconds, depending on which skill you deploy, or if you deploy both. And we can reduce cooldowns by holding the pistol and getting an additional skill tier. Right, enough of that. Hopefully we managed to get through that quite well. So the main ways that I would use this is I would actually run off to a landmark first before I actually got in PvP, and just picked out a few enemies and just got that bonus stacked up before we actually get into PvP. And now all of a sudden we have 180 in the magazine and we can surprise an enemy that. So I don't know if you switch away. Okay, if you switch away weapon, that's actually going to take the bonus away, so you would need to continue to hold the weapon the whole time. And this gun, it does have a little mark above your head when you have it. You do see enemies have it, so it's one of those things I don't know really. You have to try that out for yourself, but enemies might not be expecting you to have a 160 round magazine. So that's something definitely worth sort of using, going to a landmark. Let's just have a quick look at the damage numbers, remembering that I put no ranks of expertise into this, just to give you an absolute baseline. So in PvE, we can see in the head, roughly about 662,000, chest 475. I think we can see PvP numbers if we just flick into here. Because you have stipulated it's a PvP build. Toggle PvP. So 37,000 on that one, and 57,000 on that one. Okay. Again, with the streamlined, you know, you're going to take advantage of that when you don't have any skills up. So at the start of the gunfight, you could use your, you know, FAMAS or whatever weapon you want to use here, assault rifle. Use streamline to get that benefit of the bonus. The minute that you deploy a skill though, that is going to go away, so we can just switch to our Pakhan and use a different weapon. Alright guys, so hopefully that makes sense. It's something that I've sort of stuck together, and I don't normally put extra videos out, but with a special request I thought I'd fulfill this one. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one. And thank you so much, Brian, for the request. Really appreciate you.